Oh, starting off with Pendleton's inner thoughts, eh?
This is very concerning. I was thinking of not getting too involved for the time being, but it looks like I'm going to need to keep a closer eye on some of the students.
Uh-oh. Pendleton's sus of Slater.
For this would happen not once, but twice boggles the mind. They must be mad!
Positive, sir. No one's yet to be injured.
Yay, Ryan, trying to keep the positivity and the optimism. Yes, that is certainly something to consider. A trouble this has been, and I owe my getting out of it safely to my schoolmates, Holmes and Watson in particular.
That's wonderful news. Considering you're all budding detectives who've gotten this involved, though, how about your class tries to solve it as part of their studies?
Ryan! That's supposed to be our job, you know!
I was hoping you would forget that.
Wow, Ryan, you don't want to solve who's trying to kill me? Thanks. I thought we were friends.
As if I would. Still, I'm aware of another case in which the same kind of bomb has been used too.
Indeed. The criminal in a case that my father was pursuing tried to use one to escape.
What? Really? Come to think of it, you did say that this wasn't your first time dealing with a bomb like this.
Indeed. We were pursuing the case of a broker who was stealing works of art and jewelry from upper-class collectors and putting them onto the black market. He had a number of warehouses and hideouts under London that he used to store the goods. When we discovered one of them, though, he tried to blow it up, along with the path leading to it. When he did, he used a bomb with a timer so that he wasn't caught in the explosion.
Wait. If he used the bomb underground, it would have ended up buried under all the rubble. How were you able to see it?
You're correct. I was able to see it because I stopped it from detonating.
How? You didn't cut the wires connecting the bomb and the pocket watch, did you?
That would be far too dangerous. What I did was nowhere near as risky.
Then what did you... Did you just move the hands on the clock?
I'll tell you that if the opportunity presents itself. To deceive your enemies, you first need to deceive your friends, after all.
Holmes's words were filled with confidence.
My lady, I've come to collect you.
Well, I ought to be going. My butler is here for me.
All right. Scotland Yard will be helping to secure the Academy for the time being. Should you notice anything unusual, let us know right away. There's a high chance that this could be related in some way to the upcoming festival, or another unsolved case too.
We'll be sure to catch the dastardly fiend behind all this. We wouldn't want the music festival to be ruined for you.
Thank you very much, both of you. Still, could I ask you to keep that a secret for the time being?
What do you mean?
Could you act as though on the day of the festival I will be home at the mansion and not in attendance?
We can. Oh, I see. You want to try and mislead the culprit?
Yes. If you're going to deploy additional officers to guard against another bomb attack, could you make it look as though you're guarding the mansion instead?
All right. We'll do what you ask. We're short on manpower, though, so when the festival begins, we will need to send many of our officers to the Academy. Will that be all right with you? We will do all that we can to ensure no one is hurt.
Thank you very much. I'm terribly sorry for asking so much of you. I lowered my head to everyone present and then climbed into the carriage.
Have a safe trip home, Miss Whiteley. See you at school again!
Of course. Good day to you all! I waved goodbye to them as we set off. It was clear that Holmes was trying to think of ways to keep me safe, too.
I heard from your teacher that your schoolmates, and not just Holmes, Watson, were all sticking up for you today.
Yes. I was surprised, too.
I must ask, though. You haven't told anyone that you are investigating what happened to your parents, have you?
Of course not. That's a family problem, and one that I need to solve by myself. I'll definitely catch whoever is responsible for targeting me. They could be in some way involved with what happened to my parents, too.
Yes, that's very possible.
The carriage carried us through the streets of London as we spoke. Please don't let there be a bomb in this carriage. I glanced outside of the window and could see posters for the upcoming festival on display, making the streets look that much more lively. There were only 2 weeks to go until it began. By the way, Pendleton, it's almost time for the music festival, and Holmes and Watson are going to be performing in it. Will it be alright if I go?
Honestly, how am I supposed to say no after even Scotland Yard are working to accommodate you attending? However, I will be accompanying you myself. I won't budge on that.
Thank you! I responded cheerfully to him. I had plenty to feel uneasy about, but I couldn't help but be excited for the upcoming festival. Something to look forward to. Pardon, but could I have a word with you? One day before the Sinfonias, I approached Slater, who was occupied with nothing in particular but whatever happened to be out the window.
Hello, Emily. May I help you?
I wanted to extend my apologies for the other day.
It's fine. But that won't be the last time, right? It's just a problem I'd really rather not have to deal with.
Slater looked me in the eye only briefly before turning his back to me and going to walk away. Oh! I went to stop him from leaving, but before I could, he was already gone. He seems like he doesn't want me in the same class as him anymore. I couldn't help but feel hurt by that fact, but I couldn't blame him for feeling that way either. Either way, I need to find who's responsible for this and stop them. I found myself resolving once more to catch the culprit before they could harm anyone else.
Once more, Watson. All right.
Meanwhile, Holmes and Watson were practicing hard for the festival. Again and again they practiced, their performance gradually improving. Give it your best, Holmes! Watson is fine, but I'm not so sure about Holmes.
Rather. Less of a public performance and more of a bloody public nuisance.
Still, when his mind is clear of distractions, he really does play beautifully.
Have you heard him play like that, Lupin?
Yes, just the once, though. I really do love beautiful things, so I'm happy to have had the chance.
Suppose all we can do is hope it goes well enough.
The sounds from his violin had gradually come to resemble music slightly more, but only slightly. I was waiting for Holmes to be confused about how Lupin heard him, and for it to be a slip-up that Lupin had just hung out around his apartment one night and was like, that is beautiful. Good luck, you two. I'll do all I can to collect information in the meantime. I silently cheered the two of them on. I couldn't help but wonder whether I was doing so in part because I felt like I was being a burden on them, though. But even so, I couldn't help praying for their performance to be a success. Eventually, the day of the festival finally came. Oh, we're speeding through. The academy was filled with visitors, both from England and from abroad. They all seemed to be thoroughly enjoying themselves, too. By the time I arrived by carriage at the academy, it was teeming full of people. Ooh! This is new. Plenty of people were making their way into the auditorium, where Holmes and Watson would be performing, too.
There sure are a lot of people here today. More people have come than there are seats.
You're right! I really hope your performance is a success.
Yeah. Fortunately, there hasn't been a third bomb attack, at least. We can't let our guard down, though. Security is tight, but we still don't know just who the culprit is. The police investigated as thoroughly as they could in advance, but there could be a bomb anywhere.
You're right. I'll be careful. Today, the police were guarding not just the area around the academy, but the inside of it, too. Despite that, however, they had yet to find anyone or anything suspicious.
Today is a very important day for the two of you. Please leave Lady Emily's safety to me and the police, and focus on your performance.
Today, Pendleton was accompanying me. It wasn't hard to imagine that he would be too concerned for my safety to just wait at the mansion for me to come back.
Thank you. We leave her in your care. We're not really going to have any choice but to concentrate on performing when we're on stage, after all. We're probably worrying too much, but not at all. I'm grateful that you are so concerned for her well-being. I'm looking forward to hearing you perform, too. Good luck. Thank you.
Good luck, you two!
We shall be watching from where Emily's sitting. Hey! Why does her name come up there?
Guys, there's enough of me to go around. It's okay. Good luck, you two. We'll be able to see the stage really well from here.
Indeed. This side of the auditorium seems to have a very good view.
We're well positioned in the event that something goes wrong, too, and the police can see us as well.
It was clear that Akachi and Kobayashi were both thinking seriously about the case I had been caught up in. Even Holmes, while he was responding to those giving him encouraging words, seemed to be deep in thought about something from time to time. The police and my schoolmates were watching over me as a precaution, which was reassuring, but we haven't the faintest idea just who's been sending me these bombs. And with this many people here... Wasn't there a letter in the very first bomb? Did it get disintegrated, or... Because I feel like that would have clues, no? I looked around the auditorium. Naturally, we couldn't say for sure whether anyone would try and target me today. But if someone really had planted a bomb inside the auditorium, countless people who had gathered for the festival could lose their lives.
Miss Whiteley, all of your schoolmates are keeping an eye out for you.
If the culprit shows their face, we'll be certain to catch him.
Thank you, both of you. That looks like... Before I knew it, I was straining my eyes to get a good look at someone in the distance. He looked like someone who I had seen before, in the fog on the day of the picnic in Hyde Park. Morin's here? From what I could remember, his name was Colonel Morin. Why? Why is he here? Pendleton told me that Morin had been locked up. I froze to the spot, my breath taken away. I felt as though if our eyes met for even a moment, that would be the end. He couldn't be the one responsible for all of this, could he? If he had been the one who sent that bomb to the mansion.
Miss Whiteley!
Holmes! I shouted out his name in relief inside my mind.
What's wrong? You're shaking. Did something happen?
How did you see that from all but... Man, you are so observant. Yes. That... Holmes at my side, I went to look once more in Colonel Morin's direction. But he was no longer standing there. If you had just said, "Yo, Pendleton, is that Colonel Morin?" A lot could have been avoided. I'm sorry. I've lost sight of him. I feel as though I saw Morin, though.
That's not impossible. He was apparently released the other day.
Really?
Indeed. As ludicrous as it sounds, it was apparently deemed that everything leading up to his arrest was a misunderstanding on the part of the police, so he was released. That's really worrying. No doubt someone pulled some strings to get him released. Regardless, if we want to get him arrested again, we'll need to catch him in the act. No doubt he'll simply use his men to do his dirty work for him, though. Indeed. It's not impossible that he's involved in some way in planting these bombs, too. Keep an eye on Miss Whiteley for me, Watson. I'm going to have a look outside. Hey, Holmes!
These two just happened to meet outside. Good grief.
Well, if it isn't Colonel Morin. My, it's Sherlock Holmes. I'm glad to see that you're well. I'm sure you are. What brings you to a place like this? Does my presence at an event as popular as this strike you as unusual? It does. I can't imagine you coming all the way to a place like this unless you had a very specific reason for doing so. Your hate for me is palpable. Fear not. I've simply come to enjoy the music. Tell me the truth. You're aware of Miss Whiteley's existence, aren't you? I'm sure it isn't news to you that a bomb was sent to her home either. I'm afraid this is my first time hearing of any such thing. I'm a busy man, after all. But I'm surprised to find you outside, too. Do you not want to go and watch your son's performance? I'm impressed you're aware of that.
With the music drowning all other sound, Colonel Morin sank into the crowd and disappeared.
Oh? What is it, Junior?
Nothing in particular. I do find myself thinking that you could have asked better questions, though.
No matter what I had asked him, I wouldn't have gotten anything useful from him. Him being here says a lot in itself, though. Now we just need to find out whether there really is a bomb here at the Academy. No matter how many times he was asked, he would have feigned ignorance. But the fact that he's chosen to come here means that we need to be on guard. Still, we've searched the ground from top to bottom and haven't found any signs of a bomb being placed. That's what worries me.
All right. I'll return to where Miss Whiteley is for now. If you find out anything else, let me know immediately.
Of course, I will.
Holmes turned his back to his father and hurried back to the auditorium.
I never thought that I'd see him quite this desperate.
Aww. Sherlock Holmes watched his son till he was gone. He surveyed the area again as well. So many smiles. So much laughter. It was a blissful affair that could end in wickedness. He contemplated these things as he stepped forwards, walking stick in hand. Pipe in mouth.
It's almost time for the main concert to begin.
Keep your wits about you. We've roughly 3,000 in attendance if we count both outside the auditorium and inside. That is 3,000 potential suspects, 3,000 potential victims. A bomb of any size and shape could be hidden, and we haven't the luxury of error. Remember that.
Yes, sir!
5 officers, Inspector Lestrade and Sergeant Ryan amongst them, stood near me. The festival's highlight, the main concert, was to start. The first performer took a bow, and the auditorium cried in fevered applause. Holmes and Watson were in the seats to my left and right.
It started without incident. Let's pray it stays that way. We're the last to perform. If we can make it to the end, we come out the victor. I should like to make preparations 2 performances prior. I can only hope that nothing happens before then, too. But even when we're away, you will have Pendleton, the Scotland Yard officers, and our schoolmates with you. Be sure not to go off on your own under any circumstances.
I won't. Thank you. A tense voice called out to me from nearby. Sergeant Ryan.
I'm going to do another sweep of the area around you.
All right. You have checked my seat plenty of times already, though.
We can't be too cautious.
A new courage was roused by knowing these people, these officers, these friends who hoped for my safety. Fear still lurked beneath the surface, but as it was now, I was reassured. I was loved. It's impressive to see every single seat filled, though.
Indeed. There are even people standing and watching at the back. It's amazing.
I just hope nothing happens.
I could overhear the inspector and sergeant conversing behind me.
It looks like Colonel Morin and several of his men are among the audience. Could this be their work?
We've got our eyes on them just in case, but so far they haven't done anything suspicious. Make sure they remain watched.
Yes, sir.
2 more to go. Best of luck to you! The performer before Holmes and Watson's recital finished with a bow and a rapturous audience. Whilst they clapped, the boys rose from their seats.
We'll be back. I expect you to watch the whole thing.
They gave a small wave to us before leaving for the stage. My mood changed. Why, so out of the blue, did I feel lonely without them next to me?
Stay with me, my lady.
Of course. As was like with previous performers, Holmes and Watson were greeted upon reaching center stage with applause. Yeah! A new tune. I was hoping for this. Oh. Their piece was called Meditation. They intended to play it as a duet on their respective musical instruments.
Meditation is a fascinating choice. It is from the opera Thais, and it is performed when the title character decides to abandon the fleeting love of the mortal world in favor of the immortal love of God.
Holmes. Watson. My breath had already been stolen as I watched. They're so glittery. This was for many reasons, really. I was excited to see them play. I was nervous that Holmes would be too lost in thought to be competent. I was fearing they would be judged if he failed. All these mingling thoughts washed away to be replaced by a pure intoxication. What polish! What charisma! They won the gallery. No one could look away, and as their duet strengthened, small gasps of admiration were elicited. A tap on my shoulder.
Emily. Emily.
It was Slater who whispered in my ear. Yes?
I must apologize to you. It's urgent.
Nothing urgent comes to mind.
Well, suppose that I have...
When he was about to elaborate, the officers near to us stopped him.
You may speak to her after the performance.
Not least because they were on guard, their tone was severe. Be calm, Slater. It's all right. I reassured him, and yet he could not speak. The officers were getting impatient.
If you do not leave her be, then we will escort you from the area.
No! Please, he's a friend. Slater, perhaps panicked, reached for the fabric of my dress to keep us close. He lost his balance. As he sprang forwards, I could see the inside of his jacket. No. No! Slater, why?
Shan't tell you again. If you do anything more to her, you'll be thrown out of the auditorium.
We only mean to protect her. We must consider anything or anyone that may approach her a threat.
The statement, as with the previous officer, was delivered in a manner that served to admonish the boy. It was a strikingly strict tone from the sergeant.
Beg pardon, but I believe it would be for the best if you stepped outside for a while.
Two of the officers then approached to escort Slater from the building.
Good Lord! Was a bit worried, I must admit.
Emily, just what happened? Huh? She's gone!
Miss Whiteley's disappeared!
Oh no! But when?
How? What? Were you guys so focused on Slater she just, like, poofed?
Where is Miss Whiteley?
Holmes's plane was reduced to a crawl as his fear muddled his concentration. The two were now out of sync. Oh no.
I can't play like this. He's not concentrating. What happened? She was there just seconds ago.
His bow graced his violin slower, until he came to a complete stop. Her safety is the most important thing in my life. Watson stopped as well. Ah! Oh, you gotta be kidding me. No way.
I suppose it's time for my recital. May I have your violin, Holmes? Pendleton. Go on. Run to Lady Whiteley's side, and I shall do my work here.
You really trust these boys to save your charge while you just are okay with playing the violin? Like, it's like, they got this. I can just play violin. Dang, alright. Confidence.
I am in your debt, Pendleton. Come, Watson. Right!
Holmes disappeared, and Watson was fast to follow. Pendleton, with relaxed shoulders and an elegance that captivated his audience, raised the violin and began to inspect it.
This is ever so slightly out of tune.
Where's the piano coming from? If he's playing piano and violin at the same time, I'm out. He raised his instrument. Simply passing the bow over the violin strings for a few notes was enough for all to know that it was now in the hands of an exceptionally talented performer. Pendleton never ceases to amaze. Oh, just stopped. I wanted to hear more.
I haven't played before an audience since I was a boy. This will have to be a performance for the ages. Any less will not be enough. We mustn't have their eyes wandering warily to outside current affairs.
Interesting. He was satisfied with its condition and addressed the audience in a voice that carried through the auditorium.
Ladies and gentlemen, in Sherlock Holmes's place, I, Ralph Pendleton, and the head butler to House Whiteley will perform.
The performance commenced. Previous musicians who took pride in their playing, rightly so, found themselves moved by a sound they did not know could be heard. The audience was captivated. Scotland Yard, vigilant as they were in their investigation, had to stop to listen. Indeed, for all its many talents, the Sinfonias had not yet heard one play in this manner.
I have more coming to assist you, but until then, I leave Lady Whiteley in your hands.
I'm just gonna listen to this for ages after. Oh man, I could just listen to that forever.
Excuse me, let us through.
Wait! We were able to leave the auditorium with Slater leading the way.
Come on!
We went through the courtyard before re-entering the academy. It was here that we were stopped.
You there! Don't move!
Without warning, we were surrounded by the yard's officers and allowed no means of escape.
Where are you taking her?
Please, let us go!
Slater pleaded.
I know where the bomb is!
Then why take her with you? Are you the one responsible for these bombings?
No! Believe me, sir, I'm not!
He's my friend! I'll be all right! My word on the matter was enough for the officers, and they stepped aside to let us pass. Once they were out of our sight, Slater stopped running.
I can only apologize, Emily.
For what, Slater? He was short of breath, but this couldn't have been from our run. Something else restrained him, but before I could deduce further, the boy grabbed both of my hands.
I can't let go of you, I'm afraid.
What is this? You aren't being yourself. Tell me why. You promised you would talk to me if I accompanied you. His only response was to squeeze my hands tighter. It was beginning to hurt.
I'm sorry. But...
I had caught but a fleeting glimpse of the inside of his jacket before. Had I been deceived? Did I see something else? Or had I walked into a trap of horrors? Before I could receive a true answer, Holmes's approaching fearful cry brought me to my senses.
Step away from him, Miss Whiteley! Are you hurt, Emily?
Holmes! Watson!
You again.
Holmes didn't have the patience to wait for Slater to release his grip. He stamped over and pulled me roughly away, very suddenly, until he stood fully between us. Thank you.
Just what do you think you're doing?
It was in this motion that Slater's buttons had been torn from his jacket, revealing the one thing I had internally begged not to be.
I knew it.
It was there. Explosives, many of them, and a silver pocket watch to detonate them. Each device was small enough to fit along a belt fitted around his hips. But why? The pocket watch was at the center, plainly visible, plainly ticking. How had I not noticed that sound before? Upon sight, it seemed to tick so loudly that I could not block it from my ears.
You're out of time. When the hands of the clock overlap, it's lights out!
No! I covered my mouth to resist the urge to scream. There was silence in the classroom. A deathly silence. A silence that came when one's life was at stake. And there were so many lives at stake. Knowing this, we set about trying to disarm the explosives. Oh my. So were you caught, then? And it was like, if you touch the explosives, then you're doomed? But you can minimize it if you get Emily away from the auditorium? I don't know. Slater, I got questions.
There are 10 explosives fixed firmly to his waist by wires and belts. We have our work cut out for us. There are small Orsini bombs. One alone is enough to blow up the whole of the auditorium.
Is there anything to be done?
I'm not sure, but I know what happens if we twiddle our thumbs. Are the tools we've brought up to the task, Watson? I believe so.
Colonel Morin had his orders, and they were to sit here quietly and allow you your time. That is the only reason I'm here.
I'm sure. You, I expect, have some ability to detonate the explosives anytime you wish, but the game is bigger than murder. The fun lies in the guilt in the minutes we fail to stop it. He's a monstrous devil, this Colonel Morin.
Don't you say another word about him!
What? You're not another one of these boys, are you? So sharply and so bitterly he shouted that the room was taken by surprise.
He is a symbol of hope for us with nothing. Someone who's had their good life handed to them by their father could never see it.
Your symbol of hope sees you as a pawn to dispose upon his whim, just as you are now.
I'm satisfied as his pawn. All of us are happy to risk our lives for London, for the Colonel.
This is your life! You can't get it back once it's gone! And it won't be gone. I intend to have him live.
Ugh.
Watson removed a screwdriver and pliers from the bag round his waist.
That pocket watch reads 4:55. We've got 30 minutes until the hands overlap. Then we shall hurry. Remove his jacket, Watson. All right. Don't stir, Slater.
Holmes, have you disarmed a bomb before?
No. But now is the day to try.
It's a good day to die.
In truth, I prepared a fair amount of liquid nitrogen in a warehouse to freeze a bomb and its timer were we to find one. But I can't very well toss you in with them.
With rushed deliberance did Holmes take the screwdriver and begin work on removing the pocket watch's outer casing.
Be wary, Holmes. I shall. You take care not to place too much force on the explosives.
The screwdriver went into the first drive. He pressed, turned it slowly. It was loosened. There was no time for this pace, of which I was agonizingly conscious, but there was less time for error.
Holmes! 15 minutes! I know. Don't rush me.
Holmes, please. I wanted to do something, but I would have been a fool to let my ego control me now. I watched them both in silence, knowing that my role here was to pray for their success.
I'm certain if I were to expose Colonel Morin's plan here and now, you wouldn't understand. But I do. I do understand, and that I will die in his service gives my end beauty. Are you still not done? The Colonel said you might succeed, but the clock is ticking. If you don't finish, then I really will die here. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with dying. No. I don't really want to die.
It's a little late. 14. 13. 12. He mocked Holmes at first. This was no dialogue, no back and forth, but a running monologue. Let me die, he sneered with a chuckle until time was short. 11. 10. 9. Perhaps he made sense of his reality. I don't want to die. These were not accompanied by distraught laughs, but instead whimpering. 8. 7. 6. Beads of sweat mixed with Holmes's fringe. Some dripped down his cheeks, and a drop fell from his nose to his chest. The temperature in the classroom was not particularly hot. 5. 4. The hands would soon overlap. 3. 2. The little hand fled. The big hand gave chase.
Holmes! Quiet. You'll break my concentration. What does it matter? You can't disarm it in time! Then take Miss Whiteley and get out of here.
Did I mishear you? No! I'm not going anywhere!
Sorry, Emily, but I can't permit that. Come on, we need to go before...
How can you leave him to die?
There's no time. Go! Now!
But...
I won't die. I can still disarm the bomb in time. Just run. I'll be after you shortly.
Holmes! I didn't like the way he smiled then. I hated it. He wanted me to feel reassured, to place my faith in him, but I was haunted by the opposite. Holmes had cut and cut until he met with the heart of the timer. The pliers then paused over a green wire. I knew he was waiting for us to leave before he made the final cut. 50 seconds. Oh! It's Dad!
Stop what you're doing.
Mr. Holmes! Holmes's father entered the classroom.
Cutting that wire shall spell the end for us.
But the book in the study said this was the correct one.
That book is 7 years old. The bomb is a newer model, though its structure is largely similar to its predecessors.
Holmes sighed with one who had built an enormous amount of tension within himself and released the plier's grip on the green wire. 30 seconds.
Get out of the way, Junior. I will cut it.
But father!
I have disarmed 5 bombs of this exact model and 23 in total. I know what to do.
All right.
Holmes acquiesced and handed the pliers to his father. With tool in hand, he did not immediately jump to cutting, but rather strangely turned to me. Is this the time? And I don't mean that in a punny way.
Miss Whiteley, there are 4 wires: green, red, black, and pink. Which of these is your favorite color?
Pardon? Thank you. Pardon?
Father?
Oh, the bomb is color-coded to her?
We haven't time to waste. 15 seconds. Your answer.
Pink?
You have my thanks.
And then he turned away to snip the fatal wire. I'm like, she wears pink all the time, so it's gotta be pink, right? The explosives were disarmed with less than 5 seconds to go on the clock. Our work had been a success. Thank God we had Mr. Holmes there to help. Yet, Slater, who was barely conscious, appeared torn. What was more important? Loyalty to the Colonel or his own survival? Whoa, I've never seen this lighting in the classroom before. Getting all kinds of stuff this time.
We've had that explosive belt put in liquid nitrogen and disposed of. I must ask, why did you do this? Why place Miss Whiteley in danger?
Holmes drew steadily nearer to Slater, his fist trembling at a staccato rhythm he could not control. Holmes.
Do you understand how many people are here today? Were there no options left to you but to carry out your plan and throw your life away? I considered you a friend. You were my friend! Holmes, I know how you feel, but it's not...
Watson placed a gentle hand on Holmes's shoulder. No sooner had he made the touch did Holmes push it off and glare.
Shut up! Let me be angry!
He used the same amount of force to take Slater by the collar. Holmes.
Explain. I demand an explanation that we can accept.
That's enough, Junior. The bomb has been disposed.
It isn't enough! You want me to remain calm after this? If we had been minutes, no, seconds too late, all of us could have...
I said that's enough, Herlock!
But I simply can't forgive him!
From Slater's mouth did blood begin to trickle. Slater! You're bleeding!
The deuce! This is the work of a poison capsule hidden at the back of his mouth!
Why? You didn't want to die, and now you're... Slater! What is this roller coaster you've taken me on? Mr. Holmes supported Slater's body as he slumped to the ground, all the while beating the boy's back in hopes he would vomit the ill effects.
Bring water! Quickly!
Watson grabbed a jug and was off to fill it. The beaten boy's body possessed no strength to fight. He was submitting to this poison.
I hated how weak I was. I wished to have strength. I wanted the strength that would bring others to fear me.
Slater!
This only provided another proof. I am weak. I am still weak. Holmes, I wish I could have been more like you.
As the poison coursed through his body, Slater's body took on a possessed state of shivering and his eyes clouded over. It was difficult to know if he could see or hear us.
Professor, as my final act, I will fulfill my promise to you.
Those were to be his last words. Neither the detective's course nor Scotland Yard had the heart to disturb his body right away.
What a tragic way to end this affair.
Indeed. But I would add that Sherlock Holmes's help is to be commended. The end was said to be much worse than it is now.
An officer disturbed the silence by charging into the room and shouting,
Inspector! We've located the body of Colonel Morin in the rear garden.
What? He just died?
What? There was a silver pocket watch in one of his pockets. Here it is, sir.
He presented the pocket watch to the inspector whilst it was wrapped in a white cloth.
A 24-hour pocket watch. Yes, this is the one. Where is the body at present? I don't know what to say. We took our eyes off it for a moment and it disappeared. Dead bodies don't disappear. Search the premises. Yes, sir.
What is going on in this route? I wasn't prepared for any of this. The festival marked the last of my bomb threat woes. Slater's body had been delivered to his family, after which he was reportedly given a quiet burial. None of us were told when his funeral took place.
I'm pleased to see the violin is back with its rightful owner. Indeed. The sergeant could learn a thing or two about handling instruments with care.
Holmes's violin, which had at last been returned to him, was set in its proper case again. Do you play the violin often, Holmes?
Only sometimes. When I have something to think about, or when someone asks me to play. I'm only noticing now that I haven't played since the end of our last case.
We returned to the auditorium, which had gone from abundant to abandoned. How interesting it was, I thought, that a single room could feel so different depending on its audience. I'm still disappointed that I wasn't able to hear your performance.
That's right. You couldn't listen.
I was hardly able to enjoy the parts of the symphony as I did hear due to nerves. Watson presented to me a smile.
I know. Why don't we put on a small recital for you? Then we're both to perform. Now.
Would you do that for me?
Absolutely. A private concert just for you.
Ooh, a private concert with you two boys. You're making me blush.
I don't see the harm. Very well. If you would take a seat, Miss Whiteley.
Are you certain?
Quite certain. And to your good fortune, we have nothing to disrupt my concentration. I know precisely what needs to be done and where my priorities lie. I presume you feel the same, Watson. You're right. There won't be a better time than today, here and now. So, are you ready for us to begin?
Please! Holmes took his place on stage. Watson took his before the piano. Yay. In that time, what was a cacophony had now become harmony, a song that persuaded the heart. So clear and genuine was this that, and it would be difficult to describe why exactly I felt this, it made me feel sad. Through this, I discovered the beauty of meditation. The center of London, unbeknownst to anyone else in the world, had produced something sacred by this performance. I focused more intently on the music. Never, for the rest of my life, would I forget the day the world was made of just us three. A performance slated to bomb. That's the achievement I got. That is so cruel of an achievement. Whoa. The path to the truth has opened. Your guide to it awaits your arrival, tome in hand. Dramatic violin intensifies. The end. I'm sorry I'm laughing, but that was a lot to unpack. I kind of wish this end just had Holmes and Watson's song playing right now, but... Oh. Okay, first of all, achievement name, very creative, but very, very rude. Second of all, was not expecting Slater, of all people, who was like in the very first episode, I think, of the very first chapter of this game, and never showed up again, suddenly shows up in this end and was working for Colonel Morin because he wanted to be strong. For about half of this, I was almost convinced that Bradley was dressing as Slater. But then I'm like, he doesn't talk like Bradley, though. Bradley couldn't put on a fake accent. So, it mentioned Slater had a family, so he wasn't an orphan. And then Morin just died. And then his body disappeared. And there was a lot of kerfluffle to just blow up Emily. Unnecessary. I mean, Morin could have just shot her. But no, we gotta try to blow her up with a bomb. I just don't know what to say. I think I was expecting more wholesomeness from this chapter, and instead it was a lot of angst. I mean, there was some wholesomeness, there were some cute moments. I do love Watson, Holmes, and Emily together. But, man, that was just kind of an intense one. I wasn't expecting it at all. Right, there was no extras, yes, I'm just gonna double check this. No, that's the gallery, that's not right. Okay, there's nothing here, and there's nothing in here, right? Nothing new has been added, everything's as it was. Okay, there's just this, whatever that is. Well. Thank you guys very much for joining me for the Baker Street Boys route. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly did. I don't know where to put that on my list at all. It's like its own... It's very much its own thing. It's... Huh. Huh is all I can say. I need to process that. That was a lot for me. But... With that being said, we are done with London Detective Mysteria once again, since there's no epilogues or anything, no bad endings to be had there. So we are gonna go back to Magical Diary. And this time we are doing Corinna's route, so back into the Poetry Club we go. Hopefully I'll see you over there for that, guys. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, I will see you later.